Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today's Jira training session. Today, I'm going to be walking you through how to update your workflow and adding new statuses to it, and also how to add new transitions if that's what you require. Before we start, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please remember to do that right now. Subscribe, share, like my video if this is what you're looking for. Also, feel free to leave me a comment in the comment section if you have a question or if you would need me to guide you through anything you're trying to do in your organization and you don't know how to. And I'll be more than happy to get back to you. So let's go. So right now, I'm already logged on into my Jira system. Please remember that all Jira system depends on the version you have. You could have the Jira Cloud, Jira Server, or in your organization, you can have the data center. So it literally depends on what Jira you have in your organization. In terms of the look and feel, it might differ, but the technicality and what you do is the same across all. Some Jira instances, for example, the cloud has got more functionality, has got more flexibility in terms of how you do things compared to the server or to the database. But how you update your workflow, how you create custom fields, or how you do your validations and conditions are pretty similar in all versions. So if what you're seeing on your screen right now, it's not what you have in your organization, that's absolutely fine. The difference in most of them is probably the location of where you find certain information. So I could be going to the bottom of the screen to go to my project setting. Whereas in your system, if you have the server or database, you might have your project setting located somewhere else. So it's just about looking for where those certain buttons or navigation can be in your on your system. If you're still having issues or you don't know how to or still struggling, please leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what Jira version you are on, and I can walk you through where and what you need to do to find what you're looking for. Okay, so right now I'm going to be going into my project. So the last version we did, training session we talked about how to create a project, which we've done. And this part now, it's now going to be the part 2 of that version where we're completing the setup of that project. So we're going to focus on updating the workflow that we already have in the project. So the project we created was this one. So I'm just going to go into the project. So right now, by default, every single project you create by default gets a board created. If at the point of creating your project, you've specified that you want a Kanban or a Scrum. If you specified a Scrum, it would create a Scrum board for you. If you specified a Kanban, you will get the Kanban by default already created. The filters used by default is just going to be focusing on everything in the project you're creating. So what is then expected of you or your team is to then pick this project and understand what do your team want to capture in the boards. And then you can then further define this to your specific need or requirement. In my subsequent videos, I've talked about how to further modify your boards. So please watch out for those videos as well. So right now, I'm going to be going into my project setting. So the project setting for your project is where you can find all your schemas. Schemas are kind of like your issue type, your workflow, your screen schemas. You'll find them in your project setting. If you remember when I said earlier that the button for the different Jira versions can be located in different places. So you can see this is the cloud version and I have my project setting right at the left-hand side of my screen if you can follow my mouse. For some Jira instance, you will find that the project setting right at the bottom of your screen here. But for the purpose of this training, I'm going to be clicking on the project setting for this. So that would then take me to the back end of the project where I can then see, navigate to whatever it is I'm trying to update. But for the purpose of this training, we're going to be focusing on workflow. So I'm going to be clicking on workflow. And then by default, your project gets, if at the point of creating your project, you haven't specified or shared any configuration with any project, then by default, you get a simplified workflow, which is what you're seeing now. So it gives you the basic issue types, it gives you the basic workflow based on if you've specified you wanted Scrum or Kanban, it gives you like a default workflow that comes with Jira. So right now, I have a workflow for all the issue types that I have. So for me to edit this workflow, I would have to click on diagram. Sorry, action. Okay, so you can see now, I can see my workflow. So in this project, it's giving me the basic, to do, in progress, and done. For some Jira instance, rather than you clicking on the pencil, which is like the edit screen, you would get like an hyperlink that tells you the name of the workflow. It could be simplified epic workflow or simplified, whatever name that you would have given to that project. Once you click on that link, it kind of like opens it up for you. But for this, you'd need to click on the pencil and then it opens up the workflow for you. So in here, you can see in here, I have the add status, add transition, and then show or show transition labels. The transition labels is basically what you call, I'm just going to click on it so you can see what it does. So this is what you call the transition label. So if you look at, if you see this now, it's got like a create. So that's your label. So every single transition, the transitions are the line. So you can see at the point of creating your project, everything at that point goes into the to-do status. Whereas for every other issue type, you don't get that. So unless, of course, you've specified the transition. So for the purpose of this training, I'm going to be adding a new status. So for every single Jira instance, you get the same look and feel like you're seeing on my screen now. So once you click on the add status, in the drop down here, you can search for what status you're trying to add. Say, for example, I'm trying to add selected for development into this workflow, if that's what we're looking for. You would literally have to type, you can type that in, or you can select from what you have in the drop down, if you can see it like you can see on my screen. Okay, once I click on select, if I click on the all transition, then that means at any given time in the status, anybody can go into that status. So it's fine. That's exactly what I have now. You can see all statuses can go into to do, or statuses in my project can go into in progress, can go into done. So if I'm doing that, if I need to continue with this, I will just click on, all statuses go into this, and then I'll click on add, and then that would add that into your workflow for you. Okay. Bear in mind, if you've clicked on the add status and you're trying to find, let me say, ready for development, you're trying to find a status that's called, say, ready for development is what you're trying to add into your work as a status. So let me try it, ready for dev. And as you can see, that doesn't exist in the workflow. If that's what you're finding in your area, it means just because you are a project administrator, you will not be able to add new statuses to the system. You would need to reach out to your system administrator or Super Jira users, if that's what you refer to them, to add that into the system so that when you search, it becomes available for you. On my system, because I'm a system administrator, What I would need to do to create that is just so you can see at the point of me typing ready for development, it's already telling me this is a new status. So if I want to create that as a new status, all I need to do is just click on yes and then add. Okay, so that would then give you this screen. On this screen, it tells you you then need to specify what type of category do you want Jira to recognize the status to be. So we have three categories for all the statuses. It's either everything is grouped into to do, in progress, or done. Those are the three statuses in all Jira instances that you would find. You can have multiple statuses grouped as a to-do. You can have multiple statuses as in progress or done. It doesn't matter, but you need to categorize them into one of those three. So ready for development for my project would be an in progress status. So at this point in time, I would change that to in progress, and then I will click on create. Okay, so now you can see that, it's been created. The reason why I didn't add the all transition is because I'm going to be walking you in my next video. I'm going to be walking you through the process on how you then do transitioning rather than defaulting your workflow to say everything go to all. Everything go to all statuses means you're not putting any restrictions. I can, create a ticket now and then I can move it to done without any checks or validation happening. Whereas if you're having transition to say everything go from in progress, you cannot go from in progress to done without first of all doing QA testing or without doing your verification, depending on how you're set up or how your team work, then you would not be able to do that. So in my subsequent videos, I'm going to be walking you through how to then do your workflow so that you then kind of like follows a structured pattern with some restrictions included into it. So that rounds up today's session. Quick recap. Remember, for you to be able to go into your project setting, you need to be a project administrator. That's the first thing. For you to be able to add new statuses that do not exist in your Jira instance, you would need to be a super Jira user or system administrator. And then also remember that when you're creating all the statuses, you need to categorize them into three: to do, in progress, or done. So all this information you would need to have before you go in to start modifying or making changes to your workflow. Very quick one. Again, a reminder that when you are making changes to any of your workflow, please, 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 please remember to always check if you're sharing configuration with any other project. Because if you are, whatever changes you're making to this project would have a huge impact on everybody using that same workflow. So that's the first thing. If you want to check to see if you're sharing, you can see in here at the top of my screen, it shows that this project is shared by only one project. If you click on that, it tells you the name of the project. So for this instance, my project is only being shared by just this project. No other project is sharing configuration with mine. So whatever changes I make on this project would not be having any impact to, any other person in the organization. So thank you, and watch out for the concluding part of this video where I'll be talking about, how to do the transition within the workflow and also giving you an overview for the screens as well. So thank you. Please, before you go, remember to subscribe, like, give me a thumbs up if you do like the video, and share this video with the rest of your colleagues that you feel will find this quite useful as well. And thank you, and see you in my next video.